Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Robert's Train Set. I thought it was time for an update on how I'm getting on up the top there in the old loft. And I must say, with the it's not been that long a delay, I must admit, between videos. But even this short thing was really weird to me because I think since I started doing YouTube videos, I've always filmed on a lot of the days and I've always had one up ready to go. And today I haven't got any ready or up. So at the end of this we're going to go up in the loft and I'll show you where I am, what I have left to do. But first we're going to go and have a look at the tabletop speed demon layout. And I tried a little experiment which I must admit wasn't particularly successful, or wasn't as good as I hoped it would be. But I'll show you the film that I took of that, and with a bit of commentary from me on it, and why I did it really. So that's about it. So yeah, going to the tabletop first and then we'll go up in the loft. And if you're just wondering, we've got me tea with me owl. So yeah, I'm happy. It's just after 3. So just one thing before we go and do that. You might notice in the tabletop bit that the 03 Bachmann 03 shunter is on the programming track. The reason it's on there is I couldn't run it with this lot. I'm having real problems getting this to go into iTrains and get sorted, I must admit. It's absolutely doing my head in a bit, this one. I'm having trouble when I reset the CVs to one extent where it just would hardly move. It would just, creep very slowly forward. That was all it would do. So yeah, real headbanger this one was. I'm hoping I can get it to work because it's quite nice. Of course, I've still got to put the stay alive in this because although it runs around this little tabletop one okay, there's no points or anything in there. But once I get it up the top, then it's going to stop like it did before, I would think. So anyway, we'll see how we go. So hopefully I can get this one done. So right, we'll go to the tabletop next. So I hope you haven't minded having a bit of a gap. It's not much, and it's actually working out a lot better than I thought it would for getting on with it. So yeah, you'll see. All right, everybody. So keep watching, everybody. So what you're looking at here are all the engines that I've got into iTrains. They've all been tested and run through the speed graph and everything like that. And what I wanted to do was run them all at the same time. And as you can see, most of them are doing the same sort of speed. Now on Railmaster I could never have done this. I would have had to have sorted out what speed to run each one at. But because they've been through that speed graph part, when you put 30 miles an hour in or 20 miles an hour in, they do 20 miles an hour because it's been checked on that little bit of track. Now there are discrepancies because you cannot get each loco to the exact same speed. When you click on it to go up a bit, it won't quite do it. And as you saw, things stop. The Ginty went up the back of Earl Germans because the Ginty goes off a lot quicker than the Earl does. And as you can see, I'm just helping them along to try and keep them apart. I gave up on the Ginty because you derail everything if you try and unhook her from the Earl. But as you can see, if you wanted to run it in a consist, there you are, it's there. They're not fighting each other. So I was quite pleased with this. Now, to get them all to do this, I tried first of all to do them individually, start them off, and then, but that was hopeless. So as you saw, I placed them all in the right place and I turned the power off on the DR5000 through iTrains, which you can do with a button. I then got all the locos to the speed I wanted to on there, and then as you saw I just pushed the button and they all went. Now as they all went at different rates, then that causes problems, but you know, to have what we got, 6, 7 locos all running round, 8 locos all running round this table. No, it is 7, isn't it? No, it is 8. So pretty good. And of course these could all be very short trains. And as you know, I could never have done this even on the bigger layout upstairs, or even when it was on the table here. You know, I've tried, but it's hopeless. So it all bears well, I think, for nicely for when we go up the top. We'll see. And that's my clock going off for 9 o'clock in the morning, if you can hear it. So I'm just going to let this. It's quite mesmerising watching these all go round and round, and not really hitting each other. I couldn't have done it any faster than this because obviously the 08 shunter, the Hornby 08, won't go much faster than this. And I think we're about to have a coming together again, are we? But it won't couple up because that's the... oh, it will. Now, the 121, for some unknown reason, runs backwards. So I've detailed all the what I thought was a front, and there I've just turned the button off, and you know, it all stops dead. So quite pleased with this, I was quite pleased.
Well, here we are up in the loft, everybody, and I'm just going to show you where I am with the track, because obviously without any track you haven't got any railway, have you? And then I'll show you a little bit under the layout with the wiring, which has got a lot more since you last saw it, I think we could safely say. And also just on the red wires from the points that are all going back to one sensor, I've sort of tidied the cabling up and held it up underneath the layout in the way that I'm going to do it. So I'll show you a bit of that. But before we go under, you might notice here I've got 2 sets of Mark III carriages, and I've had these up here to sort of try run it round, see if they go. So I'm going to set the camera up, and it's interesting to me actually. I'm going to set the camera up at the end of each of the straights and run them up at it to see whether I've managed to make it a little bit more steady, shall we say. Because if you remember with the old one, it was a bit wobbly, wasn't it, and a bit shaky. Although not too bad, but we'll see if I've improved it. I might not have done, because obviously it's reliant on the board underneath. And I do know that where this level crossing is, I have actually got, you know, that sort of effect, and I can't do anything about that, so we'll have to see how we go. I have to wait until I can run trains to see if it causes a problem. If it does, I might be able to just raise it up to make it more like a curve than, you know, an angular point. So we'll see how we go. So let's see how we get on with that, shall we? And I hope you'll enjoy it. Cheers, everybody.
So me just pushing them. We'll see the whole lot and go and look in. Track's still a bit wobbly, I must admit. I did use a ruler to try and keep it straight, and as you can see, I put every pin in the track. You know, it's going to be fun, I think. What do you think? Comments will be welcome. You might notice the kink at the end, which I'll explain later on. So these run really well, these carriages, although I sometimes push them a bit too hard and they capsize off the curve, but there we are. So I have got a bit neater at doing the old soldering onto the rails. I'll show you 1 or 2 samples. So there's one. And here's another.
they're not too bad. I'm happy with those. I will sort of touch out the cables and the damage to the track mat. I've got some paints, so I might try and just disguise it a bit. But I'm quite happy to see these. It's you know, it's not a proper model railway. It's really to see how this works, to be honest. All I can say, people, is isn't it annoying when you miss one? So I've had to go down, turn the power on to just get the soldering iron to solder this on. I forgot it, because I'm in the process of putting all the points into one connection to go into the sensor unit. But ostensibly I'm here just to let you listen to the wind on the roof. This is the day of Eunice. So I'll just point the camera up at the roof, and so hopefully you'll pick up the sound it's making. So I've never ever heard wind like this on this roof, and I've been up here quite a bit. It really is blowy. Even blew my dustbin over with a brick in it. So I've now put my food caddy in it, and so I just tied it, put a hose around it to stop it sliding over again. So now I'm going to get on and do that joint onto that point, and then I can go underneath and get these all connected to one cable. Cheers everybody. So where are we in relation to the track work and how I'm getting on? So basically all the two inner circuits are in, nailed down at every hole, and ready to be connected to the electronics. And as you can see, I've got track pins in every hole, and in some cases drilled my own ones. Now what I did find, the Pico track that I bought, the metre long, didn't have any holes in it at all, which I found really strange. But I'm using Hornby track pins, so I would have needed to drill them out anyway. It's not a problem. But that's not all I've done. I've got all these wired up. Now, because they're sort of relatively short, I've only put two detectors wires in each of these, except for this one here where I've got the three. But we'll have to see how that goes. But the way I've been doing these, I would still find it quite easy to put some extra connections in if I needed to. The way I've been doing it, which is in situ, I found relatively easy actually. And the last bit of track work that is ready to go is the terminus station here. I've done the buffer stop at the end, ready to go. As you can see, I put a little bit of track in with a isolation fixed plate one side and a metal one the other, which isolates it from the block. And this is really the only red cable that goes to the buzz wire, to be honest, at the moment. Obviously when I do the other bit, the other little terminal station for the 101, then that will be the same. So as you can see, I've got this point in here for the second exit out from the terminus station. I've used a bit of the Pico flexible track to join it together, and the Hornby curved point is in situ. Now I could not get this to line up. If you try to get it to line up with the main line, then the curve would have been ridiculous. So I've done a little skew whiff round the edge of the end of the platform. I've tried both of these trains running past at the same time and they don't hit. And in a way it ties up with the bit that we've got through the other bit of the station, which is there, which I've yet to do. And the other thing perhaps to note here is I've got this 4-coach Mark III carriage train here. And that would fit into this station with a small loco up to the point. But obviously this particular set is from the HST. And with the extra carriage and the 2 power cars on, no way. So we'll have to see how that goes. But it could still obviously go out the original way. So we'll see. It'll be a bit of a try to see what length trains I can run. I'm hoping I can run full length ones and it'll just saddle to blocks, really. We'll see. So here are all my tools ready to do the works, and it's been quite useful doing them on here rather than on the bench. And has anything been damaged? Well, yes, I'm afraid the girder bridge has had a bit of a giant lean against it and it's not done it very much good. But I'm hoping I can just repair this. If the worst comes to the worst, I'll sort of replace some of it, but we'll see how we go. It's feasible to repair it. It's only glue to hold it, so see. But I couldn't avoid this really leaning over too much. So I think we'll now go under the layout and I'll just show you the bit of the wiring that we've got. So here we are again, and as you can probably see, there's an awful lot of wires hanging down here. Most of them red, and if I just pan around slowly, it doesn't get any better, I wouldn't say. And it's very difficult to see them. It's amazing how fine they are. So we'll get a bit closer. So as you can see, there's a load of wires, red wires, all coming to the terminal blocks. And if you notice, although I don't think you might not be able to read it, but I do have the block numbers written on each of these because they're all different blocks, and they're ready to be connected to the sensors that are here. And what I'm going to do is connect all the ones that I've done, and I think there is enough connections on this particular unit to all go here. So I'm going to put all those there for the blocks, with the only exception being, so the exception is here. Now what you're looking at is where the block detector that is down on the table at the moment goes here, which is the the main unit that programs all the other two. And if you notice, there's a red cable wrapped round there, and they are actually all from the points. So all the points, the live rail in inverted commas, come here from all the points, and eventually all the points on the layout will come here. So this connector block is now screwed up underneath, and you might notice there's a big P on it, which means points. Done a bit of tidying up of some of the I'm using cable ties, and there's another connector up with the big P on it, and they all come back basically to this one, when I can find it. There it is, which has then got that cable going across, ready to be connected into the machine here. So here I had a lot of cables all hanging down, including some of the point cables, and I've used the hook, or rather the eye, up into the underside of the layout, and then use the cable ties again to hold them up. And if you notice, if I get a bit closer, I've not done these up dead tight. I've left a bit of a gap so that they're loose, and I've done this so that if I ever needed to release them, I can just snip them with a pair of scissors. I thought that would be better than having them really tight against a cable. And what I found quite useful as well are these sort of crocodile type clips. So when I get a lot of the cables together, they would hold them while I stripped them and got the thing. And the other thing I found they were useful for, it's very confusing under here. You don't quite know what cable is coming from where. So when I did these red cables down from the track, I'd use these to identify what's set with each. So what I need to do with these 2 points now is obviously to fit the point motors, and then to sort out the Hornby decoder to control them. The Hornby decoder is easy to set, because I'll do it on my Railmaster downstairs. And I'm going to have the 2 points on this one decoder that I've got, but there are 2 other connections that you can have, so I'm going to make them ready for signals, which I have bought, but I'm not going to put them on the layout until the stations are back in, so that I can get them in the right place. So that's all really I've got to do up on the top here, before going underneath and connecting all the connections that I need to do. And then hopefully I might be able to run some trains on this inner 2 layouts. We'll see. So for this one, it's about it, I'm afraid. And the next one will obviously be, hopefully, when I've connected everything up on those inner sections and we've got some power to the track and I can actually run a train. Whether that will happen and how good it will be, I have no idea. But I will show you is, I'm going to, as I do each block, I'm going to come up here, connect one block to a number, and then I'll have, if I just pan down gently, I will just place the laptop on the top here, on the counter, on my bench, workbench, and then I'll come back up again, and then I'll just feed in what I need to in those little boxes that come up. And I think that's going to be a far safer way than maybe doing it on a bit of paper and then doing downstairs, because I can actually see what I'm looking at here. So we're going to do that. So any comments on how it's going so far would be useful. And again, watch out for the next one, whenever that might be. Cheers everybody. And I've lost a few subscribers on this, so obviously it's not a must-see video series, is it? But there we are. I want to do it as a record for me. So if you want to join me on the experience, you're very welcome, and thank you very much. And I do appreciate all the comments and the help that I am getting. So till next time, cheers, bye.